occasion which I designed as such. And now, having the topic of this panel framed a little bit more precisely, I would like to pass you the floor to Stefan.
Thank you. Thank you for this interesting introduction. As I told you briefly, I'm representing a non-governmental organization, and we are working since 2005 with Belarusian human rights organizations. So we try to follow up situation development in Belarus, and our main aim is to support these people in Belarus who fight for their right to election, their right for assembly, their right for their civic rights. I think that's an obligation which civil society in Europe has towards civil society in Belarus to do as much as possible in order for Belarusians to realize their rights. So this is our position on this level of civil society. I think that is natural, and that's what we can do, and that's what we should do, as we have an interest in a free, in a unified, in a democratic Europe with Belarus. That's for sure. So the other question we want to talk about today is the political situation. And when I was informed about the topic of the discussion, so I started thinking about value-based politics, realpolitik. It's a very common polarization to put these two attitudes one against the other, and I started thinking about it. And I think from European point of view towards Belarus, I think there should not be a value-based politics or an interest-based politics. I think there should be a good politics. And a good politics is a politics which is not separating between these two. But interest-driven politics must always be value-based politics. Otherwise, we lose our basis, how to act, and we lose ourselves. And the most important, we lose our credibility. So I would really not split it up, but I am a civil society activist. But when I'm talking to politicians, I always tell them, do good politics, do not split up. Politicians, our European politicians, for sure they should defend the interests of the citizens of their countries. But the interest of the citizens of our countries is not only economy and welfare and security, but it's our values, for the values we live and for the values we are based on. So I'm very much against this splitting of realpolitik and value-based politics. I think good politics should always be so. So this is maybe just a very brief answer on this question we start to discuss. I understand that people in countries outside Europe, they observe the politics from the European Union, and they want to understand what is the interest behind. Is it just making business? Is it just making export? Is it just this interest-driven? Or there are the values? And that's why I think it's absolutely important to show, do not split up, do not divorce the two approaches, but develop economic ties, develop economic cooperation, because opening comes also through the economic cooperation. But always together also. And the politics is bad if it neglects one of the two aspects. So I think that's what our politicians should be aware of. And I'm a little bit concerned how you reflected or how the feedback you gave of the visit of Sikorski and Esther. And I'm very much concerned if the visit has left this impression that we don't care what is going on there. To elect whatever you want, we take your decision, because I think, and I'm sure in our foreign ministry, the people know that important is the process, and we do not want Belarusians to vote that or that. That's right in your remark. But for sure, everybody is looking at the process and how it is going on. And if there are not the preconditions for fair elections, nobody will be happy with the result. So I think it is not so simple as this is the situation. So for sure, we accept the result of the elections. That's necessary. But in any way, one has to observe how the results came. And I have a privilege to cooperate with Belarusian human rights defenders for free elections. And I think what they are doing is really pointing to a process how the results will be done. And I think very important is for us to make European politicians and decision makers aware of what is going on in Belarus. So they can take a decision and say, okay, this is the result, but the result is a result, the election result, by the situation. And the situation, you can look at the mass media situation, and you can look at the situation in the President Election Commission, and you will see all these points, and then you can make your statement, and you understand that the result has not been come by a free circumstance. So I think this is important what Belarusians must do in Belarus to monitor the situation, for us as civil society actors and activists in Europe to bring and to promote these findings to the decision makers in Europe so they can make their decision and build up their policy, which should always be value-based and interest-driven. Both, I would say, both is necessary, and both, I think, will make a good politics. So, this is a brief statement to this question, and I don't know whether you know this. In my free time, after coming home after work, did a new very active in a small organization, which is called Human Rights in Belarus. And tomorrow, the chair of this organization, Ambassador Hans-Georg Beek, will be here with you. And they are new members of the organization. And you are. Yeah. And I think Ambassador Beek will also tell you about the approach of this organization. And we have just recently developed a strategy paper with recommendations to our politicians whom we want to be aware of our findings and of our talks also to Belarusian civil society. And let's say the conclusion of this strategy paper is to recommend to have a double strategy, a double approach. Not to split up, and that comes back to the topic of our discussion, not to split up interests, economic interests, or values, abstract values, but to bring both together and to do the one, but not to neglect the other. And in this point, I think we have also lots of things to do, because we understand that several of our politicians have lots of space to develop, I think, until we have such a, I would say, such a broader approach to politics. So, maybe this is from my side, and I will finish by that. I would be happy to hear your view. I would be interested to hear how you perceive European politics. This has been interesting for me to hear your assessment about, because Gewässerwelle coming to Belarus first time after 15 years, I think, and then the impressions like that. That's a disaster, I would say. So I would be interested to hear, did you perceive this visit also? How do you perceive the Europeans coming to Belarus, doing some politics? What do you think is behind? What is your idea about it? Do you have trust in European politicians? Do you think they have the values they defend? We also always trust in our politicians. But nevertheless, I would be interested to hear how you perceive European politics, what do you expect from them, and maybe you take us, Peter and me, and others as we're like agents for you. We can do for civil society in Belarus. We would like to also to bring your views and your ideas to our politicians. That's how we understand our job. So for me, it would be interesting to